During the time of the Roman Empire, blood was spilled in their arenas every day. As we all know, thousands of people would lose their lives for the amusement of the Roman crowds. But what most people don't realize is that this bloodlust had its roots in the Romans' religious beliefs. They had many gods and goddesses, but one of them stood out among the rest. The goddess whose shrine was covered in blood and human body parts. Her name was Medea, the goddess of magic and witchcraft. She enjoyed the finer things in life like gold, precious gems, and the blood of the innocent. So let us explore the dark secrets of Roman blood rituals and find out what history will tell you. Ancient Rome was built on 7 hills, but it was also built on the belief in magic and witchcraft. The Romans believed that the world was full of spirits and demons that could help or harm them. To protect themselves from evil spirits, they turned to magic and blood rituals. This may sound strange to us today, but to the Romans, it was everyday life. The whole city was covered in shrines and altars where people could make offerings to the gods. And these offerings were not always coins or food. Sometimes they were blood, animal, or even human. As we all know, human sacrifice was common in many ancient cultures, including the Romans. They would sacrifice people to their gods for many reasons, such as to thank them for something or to prevent them from doing something. But it wasn't just the major gods who got these offerings. Lesser-known deities like Medea also received their share of blood sacrifices. In fact, her shrine was one of the bloodiest places in Rome. The Romans believed that Medea was very powerful, and she demanded to be worshipped in a special way. If you wanted to make an offering to her, you had to bring a live animal and then cut its throat in front of her statue. The blood would then flow into a bowl or a hole dug into the ground. Sometimes they would even use the blood to paint symbols on the walls or floors. This was not done out of aesthetic preference, but because it was believed that this would help to strengthen the magical bond between the person making the offering and Medea herself. And if you think that sounds creepy, wait till you hear what they did with the body of the animal once it was drained of blood. The body was then chopped up into pieces and thrown away. However, the head was kept and hung from the horns of an altar near the entrance to the temple. This was done to remind everyone who entered the temple of the power of Medea and to warn them not to mess with her. But why was Medea so popular? Why did the Romans need her so badly? Well, the answer lies in her origins. Metis was not born a goddess. She was once a mortal woman who lived in Athens, but she was no ordinary woman. She was a priestess who served the goddess Athena. Now, being a priestess wasn't an easy job. These women had to live according to strict rules, and they had to be absolutely obedient to the gods. But Demeter wasn't like other priestesses. She was beautiful and she knew it. And while other priestesses devoted their lives to the service of the gods, Demeter spent her time flirting with the handsome young men of Athens. One day, her actions caught the attention of Poseidon, the god of the sea. He was a lonely guy. His wife was constantly cheating on him, and he was always looking for some fun on the side. So when he saw Demeter, he couldn't resist. He approached her and asked her out on a date. At first, Demeter was hesitant. She knew that Poseidon was married, but she couldn't resist his charm. And besides, she had never been asked out by a god before. So naturally she said yes. The two of them went to a secluded part of the city, where they made love under a fig tree. But their moment of passion didn't last long. Athena found out about their tryst, and she was furious. She was not only mad at Demetrius for betraying her trust, but she was also jealous of Poseidon. So to punish them, Athena caused a fig leaf to fall over them, trapping them in their embrace. Then she called all the other gods and goddesses to come and see the spectacle. Can you imagine their surprise when they saw the great god Poseidon stuck under a fig leaf like a pervert? Of course, they all burst into laughter. And this is when Athena made her final move. She transformed the fig tree into a horse and then mounted it. With Poseidon still stuck underneath her, she whipped the horse and raced around the city. Can you imagine Poseidon's face at that moment? He was humiliated and angry, but there was nothing he could do about it. Athena had made sure to trap him, and she wasn't going to let him go without a fight. So how does this story explain the blood rituals? Well, after Athena was done with Poseidon, she left him and Demeter alone. And when they looked up, they saw that the fig leaves had disappeared. They were naked, and everyone in the city knew about their tryst. Demetrius was horrified, but Poseidon was furious. He wanted revenge on Athena, and he thought he had the perfect way to get it. He approached Demetrius and promised her that he would make her immortal if she agreed to do something for him. Of course, she agreed without hesitation. She would do anything to escape her current situation. So Poseidon told her to collect the blood of 60 young men and 60 young women and then mix it together. Then he told her to take that blood and smear it on the walls of the temple of Athena. And that is exactly what she did. Now, Athena was furious when she saw what Poseidon had done. She tried to erase the blood from the walls, but it wouldn't come off. No matter how hard she tried, the blood remained on the walls, and it became a symbol of Poseidon's victory over her. That is why the Romans built a temple to Medea, near the temple of Athena. It was a constant reminder to Athena of her defeat at the hands of Poseidon, and the only way she could appease him was to honor his mistress, Medea. So that is where the blood rituals began. The Romans believed that by smearing blood on the walls of the temple, they were honoring Medea and keeping Poseidon happy. Now, this may seem like a small detail, but it's important to understand why the Romans did what they did. For example, why did they use the blood of both men and women? Why not just use the blood of one gender? Well, the answer lies in the story of Poseidon and Demeter. Remember, Poseidon was angry at Athena because she had exposed him and humiliated him in front of everyone. So when he made his bargain with Demeter, he specified that he needed the blood of both men and women. This was a way for him to show Athena that he didn't care about her gender roles. He didn't care if the blood came from men or women. All that mattered was that the blood was used to cover the walls. This was a way for him to assert his dominance over Athena and the other gods. He was showing them that he was powerful enough to break the rules and do whatever he wanted. And the blood rituals were a way for the Romans to participate in this power. By sacrificing animals and smearing their blood on the walls, the Romans were participating in the ancient power struggle between Poseidon and Athena. They were helping Poseidon to assert his dominance over Athena and the other gods. Medea was one of the most popular goddesses in Roman religion, which is why her shrine was covered in blood and body parts. The Romans believed that she was very powerful and she could help them in many areas of their lives. In fact, many of the emperors of Rome were said to be her descendants. So if you ever visit Rome, be sure to pay a visit to the Temple of Medea. Just don't forget to bring a live animal and a sharp knife. What are your thoughts on the Roman blood rituals? Do you think they were necessary? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about the dark side of ancient Rome, stay tuned for more videos. Thanks for watching.